The slime called Rimuru is holding a parting speech in front of the children he had saved from certain death, leaving their future education to another teacher called Tis. Together with Raiga, his Tempest Wolf companion, he uses magic to teleport back to his city, which bears the same name as he does, Rimuru, inside of the Jura Tempest Federation. There, his two trusted subordinates and friends, Rigard and Benimaru, are preparing to lead a delegation to Demon Lord Carrion's domain. In order to strengthen the pact which they recently formed, Rimuru sends them off with a speech addressing all of the monsters residing inside of his city, in which he promises to nurture the pact he formed with Carrion and ensure it brings more peace and prosperity for everyone. While preparing to receive the delegation sent by Carrion, the forest dryad Tringy alerts them that they are on the way and have entered the forest. Soon enough, the chariots with Carrion's delegation arrive, and they meet two of the Beasketeers, Albus and Sufia, who are the leaders of said delegation. Deciding to pick a fight, Sufia mocks Rimuru for being a slime before talking down the humans he befriended. Not wanting to have her talk down to his friends, Rimuru tells Yum, the leader of the human team, to go ahead and show them what he can do. Rimuru's personal secretary, Cheyenne, decides to step in instead, enraged by the disrespect they have shown towards him. Thus, Cheyenne engages Sufia head-on. Provoked by Sufia, Cheyenne starts charging a very powerful magic bullet, but before she can fire it, Albus jumps in between the two girls and interrupts their fight, declaring how this has been more than enough for Rimuru's people to show what they are capable of, and revealing that Sufia's rudeness was only a test to gauge their strength. Sufia quickly stands down and expresses her approval of the pact that they have formed, impressed by Cheyenne and Yu's display. To celebrate the bond between the two nations, a party is held back in Rimura's city. With every passing day, the delegation from Eurazania is learning more about the amazing development of the Jura Tempest Federation, mainly thanks to Rimura's novel ideas. Finally, the time comes for the delegations to return, and Benimaru has nothing but praise for Carrion's troops, declaring that he can be trusted to honor the pact. Deciding to strengthen their bond with the Dwarven Kingdom, Dworgen, Rimuru sends an envoy there as well. He himself being the main envoy, accompanied by Cheyenne and Shuna. On their way, they run into Geld and his orcs who are working hard to rebuild the damage caused during the fight against Charybdis. As a reward for their efforts, he gives them a few kegs of beer, before continuing on his mission. Arriving at Dworgen, Rimuru gets an audience with the king, Gazel. Meanwhile, Demon Lord Clayman is getting information on Rimuru from his subordinate Myelin before sending her onto another mission. In Dwarfen Kingdom, Gazel inquires about the magical weapon which Rimuru used to defeat Charybdis. Even though in disbelief, he decides to trust Rimuru's words that it was in fact the Demon Lord Milim who aided him. The Dwarven King cannot help but wonder what it is that Rimuru does, which causes the Demon Lords to ally with him. Before they can talk more, Cheyenne ends up causing a scene as the alcohol they were drinking gets to her head. Meanwhile, Myelin makes contact with Hume. She requests to join his group, and after a quick combat test, she proves to be an excellent wizard, so she's welcomed into the group with open arms. Hume brings her back to the Jura Tempest Federation to show her the nation of monsters. While feeling guilty that she's only here spying for Clayman, she ends up getting dragged into a mock battle between Hume, Gobta, Grucius, and their teacher, Hakaru. Rimuru has a meeting with Mjolnir, the merchant, which helped him establish trade relations and a defensive pact with the kingdom of Blumund. Just at that time, a strategic meeting is held in Falmouth, where they discuss the impact which the new nation of monsters will have on them. Worried about the possible threat to their large trade network, they consider taking up arms to put the monsters down. In order to justify their attack, the king of Falmouth forges a plan together with a representative of the church. The three summoned humans from our world, Shogo, Kuya, and Karara, which reside in Falmouth, are called to action. They have to cause a scene in Rimura's city in order to justify an armed response. But the trio has their own plans as well. Despite being treated like nobility, they are feeling bored and confined, so they want to seize the opportunity to kill their captors and do as they please in this world. Malin and Hume are constantly spending time together, which causes them to grow closer and quite fond of each other. The thought of them being together makes her agonize over the fact that she is just a puppet being used by Clayman, since he holds her heart in his hands. Just as those thoughts are racing through her mind, Clayman contacts her and gives her a new mission, revealing that he knows how she developed feelings for someone. If she does not follow his command, he will kill the person she loves, while setting her free to do as she pleases if she follows through. Falmouth's small force headed through the forest is spotted by Sui and his scouts, but before they can figure out what to do about them, an urgent transmission from Eurazania is received. It is Albus asking them to house refugees from their kingdom, as they will go to war against the demon lord Milim in a week's time, but before she can elaborate more, the magic connection gets interrupted. The three summons, Shovo, Kuya, and Karara, arrive in Rimura's city, where they are immediately outraged by the fact that the nation of monsters is more developed than Falmouth. Setting their plan into motion, they start stirring up trouble in the bustling city streets. Things do not go their way once Gaba steps in to defuse the situation, so Carrera uses her unique skill to try and make everyone around them die at the sound of her voice. Luckily, Shuna arrives just in time to prevent her skill from activating. Accompanied by Cheyenne, the two of them request from the three summons to leave the city, but instead of leaving, Shogo and Kiria are looking to start a fight. Just as they are about to begin fighting, Myelin is ordered to play her part and establish a great anti-magic barrier around the entire city. Grucius and Yoon find Myelin before she activates her spell. Grucius reveals that he noticed how she is in fact a Majin and deduces that she is manipulated by the demon lord Clayman, who is infamous for using such tactics, as he has heard about Milim's impending attack on his homeland. Myelin reveals her true Majin form in front of them, but this does not sway Yoon, who boldly steps forward and pulls her into an embrace, declaring his love for her, regardless of her race. This only serves to fuel Myelin's determination to keep Yoon safe from Clayman, so she pushes both of them away and casts her grand magic, forming a large-scale barrier around the entire city. At the same time, the forces from Falmouth have moved into position. Using the first barrier as a signal, they set up a secondary barrier around it, completely sealing off the city from the outside world. Inside of the city, the barrier's effects soon become apparent. First, they realize that Rimuru cannot be reached as any magic is being sealed off. In addition, the secondary barrier is also draining the monster's powers, rendering them weak and barely able to function. After saying farewell to his students and giving them a parting gift, Rimuru and Ranga head back home. On their way back, Rimuru suddenly notices a strong presence nearby. Quickly preparing for a surprise attack, he finds himself trapped inside a powerful barrier. Inside of the barrier, one of Suva's shadow clones comes to warn him of danger, but is forced out before he can elaborate. He is approached by a woman with short black hair. She is aware of his identity and determined to kill him, as he is a monster, and the existence of his city is in the way of her goal. Inside of Rimuru's city, the battle is not going their way. Even with Hakaru joining them, the barriers in place are slowly but surely draining more and more of their strength. If things could not get worse, the forces from Falmouth enter the city under the pretense of their citizens being attacked by monsters. Thus, they start butchering the weak and defenseless monsters and raising the city on their warpath. Rimuru learns that the woman's name is Hinata, and she is the captain of the Holy Knights from the Holy Empire of Ruberios. Realizing that she must be the girl who was Shiza's student and is also summoned from our world, Rimuru attempts to convince her to back down. But Hinata does not comply. Instead, she believes that Rimuru killed Shizu and is nothing but a monster pretending to be from this world. Their confrontation escalates and Rimuru quickly finds himself on the defense. Her power is nothing to take lightly, and combined with the barrier which is sealing some of his powers away, he is unable to get the upper hand. Thanks to the great sage skill he possesses, he notices that the glancing blows he suffered from her are far more dangerous than they appear, with enough of them causing certain death. Trying to avoid that scenario, Rimuru does his best to avoid getting hit. Hinata is surprised at how long he can hang on within her barrier, and even more so when he shows clear understanding of her skills. Just as Hinata goes all out to deliver the finishing blow, Rimuru activates his own unique skill, Gluttony, to give himself a chance at survival. Hinata is shocked that her final blow did not kill him and reasons that he does not have a soul, as Rimuru transforms into a monstrosity of all the creatures he devoured with Gluttony combined. In order to destroy the monstrous Rimuru, she uses extremely powerful magic. Her magic proves effective and completely obliterates her target, but it turns out that the monstrosity was not Rimuru but his clone instead. Using Ifrit as a distraction, Rimuru slipped away in his slime form while leaving behind a clone that transformed to fight Hinata. Thanks to that, Hinata is convinced that Rimuru is dead and leaves, removing the barrier from the area. Upset at the outcome but relieved that he made it out alive, Rimuru quickly shifts his focus on returning back to his city. Unfortunately, he realizes that he is unable to teleport there thanks to the barrier, so instead he teleports to Veldora's cave. There he meets up with Sui and his unit, who are getting treatment from Gabiru and Vesta. From them, Rimuru learns that they lost contact with the city and are unable to figure out what is going on inside of the barrier. In addition to that, Sui can confirm that Falmouth has taken action and are now marching a large army their way. Deciding to not waste any more time, Rimuru heads for the city. Rimuru gives Sui the order to locate those maintaining the barrier from the outside and uses his overwhelming power to punch through the barrier and locates the one maintaining it from within. Quickly noticing the devastation that has been brought upon his city, Rimuru finds the survivors, but before he can learn about everything that happened, he notices some fighting going on nearby. Heading to the location, he finds Geld and Benimaru fighting against Grucius and Yoon, who are protecting Myelin. Rimuru stops Benimaru and learns that Myelin is responsible for the magic sealing barrier, and once Geld tried to capture her, Yum stepped up to protect her. Wanting to hear what Mylan has to say, Rimuru follows her to the place where the dead have been brought. To protect Yum and Grucius from Rimuru's wrath, she attempts to make Rimuru take out the frustration he feels upon seeing the bodies on her. But Rimuru is quickly calmed down thanks to the great sage rationalizing that her barrier alone would not have caused the monsters to weaken, and instead would have only disrupted the magic. Instead of using Mylan as a scapegoat, he brings her with everyone to the city hall, where he is briefed about everything that transpired in the city. Apparently, the knights from Falmouth have promised to return in full force within a week to eradicate all the monsters that remain here. In light of that, Rimuru sends word to his allies requesting urgent aid. Shifting his focus to Mylan, he has her reveal that she is in fact a subordinate of the demon lord Clayman, and was only doing his bidding this entire time. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.